So let me show you a good place where a trigger would be appropriate on a view. And then this could also work for a table. But anyway, if you remember, I made this view, people in London, and basically it tells me all the people that are in the city of London, or at least the employees. So I should probably call it employees in London. I did this in the views lecture with check option. If you look at my playlist, there's with check option. So go watch that video if you need a little refresher what was going on there. But basically, if I say select splat from people in London, I'm going to go down here and just comment this out for now. We'll get to it in a sec. Here's all the people that live in London. Okay, and all that does is when I select from the view, it says where city equals London. But if you recall, in the with check option lecture I did, when I insert people into London, well, let's look at that for a minute. Select splat from employees. So when I insert into people in London values Jamie King, well, Jamie is going to take the first name and King's going to take the last name. So sure enough, Jamie and King will go right here. But then the city will default to null. Alright, so if you're calling that with check option video I did, it was like I was being thrown into the pit or thrown into the people of London, and then I don't show up, my record, Jamie King doesn't show up because my city is really not null. It's not London, it's null. So the way we avoided that is we said with check option. Okay, so I'm actually going to run this as it is right now. The with check option says, hey, if a record's not going to come back after I try to do the insert, then I'm not going to allow you to insert that record. So F5, and it says the attempt to insert update failed because the target view either specifies with check option, which it does. So think about what's going on here. I think what SQL does is it says, hey, the base table is employees. So let's try to insert these values for first name and last name and employees. And after we do that insert, let's actually do the select. And if the record they inserted doesn't return or come back, then we'll just roll back, throw it out, say you can't do that. I believe that's what happens when you specify with check option. Either way, I guess we really don't care as long as the with check option stops us from inserting something that won't come back on our select. Now, say we actually did want to be able to do this though. Insert into people in London these values. Okay, and mentally what it means to us, or conceptually as humans, we would think that it would default the city field to London. So Jamie King would be here, and then this would default to London. But the database isn't that smart, so we need to be smart instead. And the way we can do that is by writing an instead of trigger. So let's do it. All right, create trigger. Default city to London. On people in London. Again, this is a view, not a table as we've been doing before. After insert as, instead of insert. We want to do this instead of what they're trying to do. We want to do something instead of begin, end. So now let's go directly to the base table. Again, the base table is employees. So insert into employees. Let's specify the columns. There's several columns here, and the only values we have is a first name and a last name. And then we need to default the city to London. So let's do first name, last name, city, select splat from inserted. Now think about what inserted looks like. Let's get some more screen real estate. I'm going to drag this down. The inserted table has the two values that we're trying to insert, which is going to be the first name and last name. And that schema, that column schema is set up because that's what our view is made of, first name and last name. So if I want to be more professional or more explicit, and it probably would be good to be here more explicit, let's do select the first name and last name from the inserted table. Okay, so this first name will go into first name, and this last name will go into last name. But we need something for city. Well, let's default that to London. London. So look how tricky this is. We're inserting Jamie King, and that's what we're going to select from the inserted table. But then we're also going to put London out there as a third column value, which will go into our city. All right, so let's put a go here. And first of all, before we even attempt to do the insert, I'm going to comment out the insert. And let's comment out the select splat. I want you to think what's going to happen here. We got this with check option here, which will stop invalid inserts. But then we also have this instead of trigger, which will cause an invalid insert to be valid again. So positive, I don't think what's going to happen. Okay, I'll hit F5. Ooh, we get an error. Cannot create trigger default blah 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 because the view is defined with check options. So SQL is actually smart enough to say, hey, either stop them or help them, but don't have both because that's ambiguous. So I'm actually quite happy the way they set this up. So we're trying to help them out. So let's get rid of the with check option and rerun all this. And boom, our trigger's now installed. And let's see, let's try to do the insert now. So insert into people in London. Before we do that, let's just look at what's in there. Select splat from people in London. The view, run that. And here's our London people. We have a Robert King, but we don't have a Jamie King. So I'm going to highlight this by itself. Insert into people in London values Jamie King. Boom. Oh, and we get 1 rows affected. 1 because of this insert, which really doesn't affect any rows. And then one because of it. This one actually does affect the base table employees. Anyway, select splat from people in London. There's Jamie King. In fact, let's select splat from employees. Oops. Boom. Let's find Jamie King. Jamie King. Everything's null except the city, which is now London. So there's a good example of a view doing something. A trigger doing something useful. Again, we're not doing any constraint checks in here. We're just saying we're trying. We know we need to do a little bit more work to make somebody London. So there you go. There's a good use of a trigger.